do not let the people above you get you into this box where you have to think a certain way.
Mm.
Everybody does that. We all are taught to promise over deliver. We're all taught to not kill customers, not throw away good revenue. There are different ways of thinking that you need to use in order to become a breakthrough. And I'm telling you, there's thousands of you out there. There's thousands of people just like you there, and there are people that are smarter than you. You can still beat them if you put the right system in place, and that's what the hot system does.
It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you so much for having me,
Beautiful, my
Elisha.
man, and thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Todd, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Todd, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest that in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. See, Todd, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Todd, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, my man, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Todd. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Todd that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruits of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your insight, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering your solutions, Todd. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, my man, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Todd is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to be selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Todd. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
Thank you. I really appreciate the invite. This is really exciting, and thank you for all those kind words. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and I just love sharing the knowledge. I don't sell anything other than the book. I love putting stuff out there, and I love helping people turn around businesses. I got you back now. Can you hear me?
Beautiful, my man. Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Beautiful.
Yeah.
No
Sorry.
worries, my man.
Yep.
So, thank you so very much once again. Then let's get started. You see, Todd, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Todd, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness, ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Todd on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, my man, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of informations flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, my man, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Todd, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Todd got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Todd, my man, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So, my name is Todd Hagopian. I am a turnaround expert. So, I get usually hired by companies to turn around the companies. And I've been doing that for a long time. And what happened is I was kind of going up in the career real hard, real fast. And then every time something good would happen, something terrible would happen right afterwards. There was a lot of self sabotage going on, and I always attributed that to kind of this work hard, play hard methodology, that you have when you're younger and you're moving up. But at some point, it got worse and worse and worse. And finally, I got to a point where I was putting the job at risk. I was putting the family at risk. Like something was wrong, and I had to really dive in and figure it out. I went to and actually at the time I was having chest pains and my head hurt and I like the whole body was falling apart. I was sleeping about 2 hours a day for about 15 years, just to put it in perspective. Like there was working 22 hours and sleeping for two and drinking way too much and that kind of stuff. And finally went to the doctor and they threw everything at it, looked at everything. And finally somebody said, "Have you ever talked to a psychiatrist?" And I was like, "Why would I talk to a psychiatrist?" You know what I mean? But anyway, I went in there and within minutes they're like, "You're really, really bipolar." You're very bipolar. and and then another doctor confirmed it, and so that caused, like, I figured out that was what was happening. I was going through these hypomanic episodes where you have all kinds of energy, super focused, don't need to sleep, can get a lot done, and then I would crash and hit the bipolar depression and self-sabotage my way out of the job or into trouble, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And so I got on the medicine, and the medicine was great. It was fantastic. Completely calmed me down, stopped the ups and downs, but it took away my business edge completely. So all the stuff I was known for was coming from this hypomania that the medication knocked back down. And so I'm in this big job. It's my whole career. It's my whole, mantra. And it just got taken away essentially. And I was like, do I really need to choose between sanity and success? Like that didn't seem fair. So what I started to do was I hacked my brain a little bit and I tried to systematize some of the hypomania. So like convince myself to do things the way I used to do without actually being sick and without going off the medicine, which a lot of bipolar folks do. That's why they go off the medicine, because they lose something that was important to them and then they have to get it back. So I tried to systematize it so I didn't have to do that. And that worked through one turnaround. I systemized a couple of things. The next turnaround, I systemized a couple other things. During the third turnaround, in the 13th month, I was like, oh man, I should have done that thing back from the first turnaround. You know what I mean? And so then I did it and it worked. And I was like, I need to write these down. I need to get them into a real toolbox, something that I can do all five of them, or whatever. And I ended up writing down 10. And then I took it to the fourth turnaround and it worked real fast. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I can teach people this kind of hypomanic leadership, where you don't need to be sick. You can have a normal mind, but I can teach you how to manage this way. But in order to do that, I had to decide to let everyone know I was bipolar because nobody still knew. So 8 years later, I'm keeping it quiet. Nobody knows what's going on. And that's how the book came about. Is like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it in a big way. I'll let people know I'm bipolar, let people know that that's what's driving the strategies for two reasons. One, I think it'll help people turn around businesses, and I'm passionate about that. But two, neurodivergence in the workplace is something that's just not talked about, not dealt with, right? When you come out as LGBTQ or some other diversity, people celebrate it, or most people. There's still obviously pockets that don't. But in neurodivergence, when you say you're bipolar, the first thing people do is try and fix you. And what I wanted people to realize is that that's not how you deal with neurodivergence. You celebrate it. There are aspects to neurodivergence that are really, really good. And that's what this book is all about, is you can use some of these aspects to actually think differently and get breakthrough results. So you don't need to be neurodivergent, but you can use the systems I've put in place to manage that way. And we all read the same 20 books, right? Like you see behind me, everybody in my business has read these books, right? So we could all manage the exact same way. But if you want breakthrough results and to beat your peers, you have to manage differently. And that's what this book is about.
Beautiful. And the fact that you went through all of that, you came out of it, and you're sharing the solution. That's a beautiful one. You are truly a turnaround expert. Yes, I tell you. And you also forgot. Okay, let's proceed. Let's proceed. We'll talk about it as we go. So, can you talk to us about the HOT system? HOT system.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So the HOT system is Hypomanic Operational Turnaround System. So this is particularly aimed at businesses that need some type of turnaround. Now there's crisis businesses that are losing money. That's a big turnaround. But there's also businesses that are stagnant. Like people are starting to leave. They haven't innovated in a while. Revenue's flat. Those types of businesses can use this type of turnaround too. The idea here is there's about 10 of them. I won't go through all, but the big ones that will resonate quickly are grandiose goal setting. Part of bipolar is to think really, really big, really long term. Grandiose goal setting is about under promising and over delivering is for losers. Everyone tells you to do it. That's what everyone tells you to do in business. It's terrible. It doesn't get you promoted. If you promise 6% and you get 8, and I promise 25 and I get 19, I guarantee you I'm getting the promotion. How do I know that? Because I promote people for a living, right? So I know who gets the promotions. It's the people that drive the big results. They might miss with big thinking, but they're driving bigger results than the other folks. So that's grandiose goal setting. 80-20 matrix of profitability is all about treating customers and products differently. So you want to 20% of your products are going to drive 80% of your results. 20% of your customers are going to drive 80% of your results. So you grid them out in this matrix. And the A customers with the A products get treated much, much differently than the B customers with the B products. A customers with A products get bear hugged. You take care of those customers. You look at the other quadrants and you decide if you need to raise price or if you need to raise the quantity required or outsource or move them to a different product. And what you try and do is get to where everybody's spending 100% of their time on these 5,000 customer product solutions, but there might only be 100 of them that are driving all your revenue. So what you really want to do is get your time spent towards the A customers and the A products. And that's the third part, is the Karelin method. The Karelin method is named after a Olympic wrestler who went like 16 years without ever losing a match. Alexander Karelin, he's this huge Russian guy, and they used to always ask him if he was on steroids, right? He never tested positive, but they'd always ask him. And then what he said was, the people who accuse me of that have never worked as hard in one day as I work every day. And the idea isn't that he was working 22 hours a day. It was that he was spending all of his time, 100% focus on the 20% of things that were going to make him the best wrestler possible. And that's what the Karelin method's about, is activity times efficiency times focus. And that focus part is the part that nobody gets. And that's the biggest part about the HOT system, is extreme focus and getting it to where you spend every minute of the day making as much money as possible.
That's so amazing, my man. And that sounds very effective. So, what makes it different from other leadership frameworks? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, the focus is really the key difference. And if you look at the other aspects of the HOT system, they all go around this kind of extreme focus. So, for example, if you had 5,000 customer product combinations and you've got 100 people working on these 5,000 customer product combinations, but only 100 of them are driving most of your profit. If you can cut out the other 4,900 and have 100 people focused all on those 100, product customer solutions, you're going to have a much, much different company. So mine is a little more ruthless. It's a little more get this thing out of the, cut this product, outsource this product, move this customer to a different product, raise the price on this customer, or raise the number he has to buy. Very strategic and a little more ruthless, because in a turnaround situation, you have to get that way, right? And it's not only bad, like people don't like turnaround managers, right? We come in, we fire people, and we reorganize, and we raise prices, and we do this. But here's the deal. When you're in that situation, even if you're stagnant and you're just starting to go down, you're fighting for everyone's job. Those 100 people don't have a job if that business goes out of business. So you have to come in and make the changes you need to, so that the shareholders are making money, and so that those folks continue to have a job and you can hire more people. So for example, like we have turnarounds where we start at 150 people and we go down to 100, and then we bump back up to 180. You know what I mean? Because you get focused, and then you start growing, and then you do need more people, and you throw them at the right things instead of the wrong things. And suddenly 180 people have a job instead of 0. So that's what's different about my method, is it's not about just how to get 5% more or whatnot. If you buy this book and you implement this method, you triple your business. That's the idea. You're going to triple your business. It's possible in every single business I've ever walked into. They're all doing this wrong. Everyone talks about the 80-20. Nobody ever does anything about it. This is all about complete focus and driving extreme breakthrough results.
Wow. Thank you for developing this beautiful framework. It sounds so powerful. So we have 2 more to go, my man. Let's talk about your book. So how did you come about the title, and how was the writing process like?
Yeah, it's funny. The title changed at the very last minute, and it was based on a review we got from a big author, Bill Kennedy, a best-selling author who writes about the 80-20, and he called my hot system the unfair advantage. And we were like, wow, that's a really cool quote. And it was the Hypomanic Toolbox is what we were calling the book. And so we decided to call it the unfair advantage, weaponizing the Hypomanic Toolbox. And it's all about, arming yourself with these tools and then basically going to war. And I talk about this a lot, like declare war on stagnation, because stagnation kills jobs, which kills people, right? So you have to attack stagnation inside of your organization. Otherwise, you will go down. That's what happens inside of an organization. And so this book is a business fiction book. And the reason I wrote that is because my favorite author ever, I think is somewhere behind me here, is Elisha Goldratt, who wrote a business fiction book. So kind of a story about a company. And he showed the theory of constraints in the book. And theory of constraints is pretty complicated, but he was able to do it inside of a business fiction book. Everybody who reads this book can go, oh yeah, remember that chapter where Herbie was walking up the hill and da-da-da, and like you can remember how they fixed a problem. Whereas you read these long nonfiction books and you can't recall it. So that's what I decided to do, is write a business fiction book first. And then the nonfiction book will come out 6 months later. That'll go real deep into everything. But the business fiction book is so that people can recall the things. And it's a business setting. So like you will be in a manufacturing company. It will very much sound familiar to you, like the discussion's having, and then you'll be able to remember that next time you have that discussion.
Amazing business fiction. I got that. So finally, my man, what advice would you give to young executives?
Yep. Young executives, directors who want to be executives, people who know where they're going in life, people who want to get to the top. This book is for you. And the advice I would give is, do not let the people above you get you into this box where you have to think a certain way. Everybody does that. We all are taught, under promise, over deliver. We're all taught to not kill customers, not throw away good revenue, and this and that. There are different ways of thinking that you need to use in order to become a breakthrough manager. And I'm telling you, there's thousands of you out there. There's thousands of people just like you there, and there are people that are smarter than you. You can still beat them if you put the right system in place. And that's what the hot system does.
That's a very important one and so powerful. I've got a clap for you, my man. Very beautiful. So to bring this to an end, Todd, for folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, or make a purchase of your wonderful book, or stay in touch, or they need your services or programs, how can that be possible?
Mhm. Yep. So, Unfair Advantage, Weaponizing the Hypomanic Toolbox is available on Amazon pre-order, and it'll launch in January. You can always reach out to me on my website, toddhagopian.com, TODDHAGOPIAN.com. And again, I don't sell anything. So if you have an idea, if you have a question, if you just want to chat for 15 minutes over coffee, ping me on my website. We can talk. But the website also has 100 articles that go real deep into all kinds of business. And then I'm starting another website that I'll put out there eventually. There's going to be several hundred articles that go deep into everything I'm writing about. It's all free. I want people to know it, and I want people to use it. So contact me and let me know what questions you have, and we can chat through it.
Hmm, beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Todd. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot, my man. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.